to every sneakerhead, even the hypest beast. It all started with, do you got my size and need? It's just front page shoes. Yeah, it's just front page shoes. Yeah, welcome to front page shoes. Check the news, this is front page shoes. Now we got a ton of kicks, only got fronts for kicks. Never say I'm done with kicks, I'm just having fun with kicks. Couple of these, few of those, doubled up cause those are cold. I'm trading these, I'm stocking those, I'm flipping these and I'm rocking those like whoa. Yeah, been sneaking around since 20-some. Get down on Sneaker Jeopardy, if you stick around you might learn some. Just a couple of OGs, probably rocking some OGs. Look down like OGs, them joints from like 03. It's just front page shoes. Yeah, it's just front page shoes. Yeah, welcome to front page shoes. Check the news, this is front page shoes.
Yo, what's good? What's good, Andy? How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. Long day, but happy to be here.
Awesome, man. No, I'm glad to have you. For everyone tuning in, I'm Aaron with a group called Front Page Shoes, and been doing sneakers for a little bit now, and kind of doing this live show type of deal for a little bit. But I'm excited to bring it back. This is we did one late last year, or I think summer last year, and kind of took a little break. But this season we're back, and it's a theme. So we have we're gonna do a quick season, 6 episodes with creators, photographers, videographers in the sneaker space. So it's only right that my co-host for this season is our boy Andy, AD Sneaks. Tell him a little bit about yourself, bro.
Yeah, so I'm AD Sneaks, Andy, my real name, but yeah, I'm the middle school teacher that also likes to do sneaker photography as a hobby. So love doing that. It's been a wild ride since last year, but you know, it's just doing what I love, using my camera and taking pictures. So,
Bro, did you ever anticipate, like, when you started, like, just taking sneaker photos, that you'd like accomplish what you've accomplished so far? Because, like, I don't care what anyone says, like, gaining a ton of traction, being able to work on campaigns is like every creator's dream, right? So, like, did you ever anticipate that happening?
no. So initially I set out to just do it because it was, you know, it was during the pandemic and we're all shut down. You know, we're in our homes, and I loved photography before I loved shoes. And then I had shoes and I had my camera, and I was just like, let's just put 2 and 2 together. And I just started doing stuff that way, taking pictures, and just my friends wanted to see what I was wearing. And then I just started posting it on Instagram, and yeah, it's just gone crazy. It's been really humbling to see the support that people have given, and even more humbling to be able to work with some of the brands that I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with in that amount of time. So super blessed for that exposure that's come.
Fire, bro. I love what you do. I love how real your work is, right? Like, it's not trying to impress anyone. Like, your captions always too, like, are so captivating. So I'm glad to have you here with me, bro, and doing this season. I think it's gonna be dope, especially today, man. I'm super excited for our guest today.
Absolutely.
I've followed him just more recently, so I feel like I've played myself, and I've I've kind of missed out on being able to follow his work and see him for a while now. But how I was introduced to him was through his Hidden Solomon campaign, and after that, I was a fan. How did you come across his page?
I think I saw, I don't know, remember what picture it was. I think it was the mummy dunk picture. I saw it on my like explore page, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept. Like, I really like taking like the sneaker that has all these elements of, like, you know, pyramids and the desert and things like that, and then putting that sneaker in that environment. I just thought that was incredible. And then I peeped the profile, and it was just more incredible work. So yeah, it was an easy follow.
All right. Well, just know, yeah, Gabe said it. 2 excellent representatives of the culture. Absolutely. without further ado, let's bring on our guest for today, JD, or better known on Instagram, Shot by Dimino. Welcome, bro.
Peace,
Welcome, man.
peace. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, introduce yourself to those that are watching and maybe not super familiar with your work.
Cool. So my name is JD. I'm a photographer and content creator based out of New York. Um, I I guess my current work as of right now specializes in creating images of products like sneakers um, by bringing them into places that resonate with their story. My whole thing was, how can I bring this to life even more? Opposed from, Nike or Adidas putting out their own campaigns, what can I do in a sense? So I pretty much put the two and two together, put their story and base off their design, put that together, and now we're here bringing images really to life in a sense. But yeah, so far 2020 for me, it's been pretty amazing. I got to work with brands like Hidden and Y. They've been a big support, honestly, in my career. Another one was Clark's. That too, that was crazy. And Saucony Footwear, and John Geiger, just to name a few. But I'm glad because this would have never happened if I would have never just took that leap
Right.
to kind of pursue what I wanted to do with sneakers.
Yeah, and I was saying that earlier, like what got me introduced to your work was when I saw the Mummy Dunk, right, photo that you did. And I was like, that is such an amazing concept to, just like you said, take the sneaker but put it in an environment that encapsulates what the sneaker's about, and it just meshed so well. So yeah, big fan of your work and very impressed with what you do.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And what's crazy is that was one of the first photos that really went viral for me, changed everything.
Right.
I think it got like over 40,000 likes. And at that time,
Crazy.
I posted that just out of, I guess good timing, Halloween. It
Yeah.
was the day before the release. And just to see it blow up like that, it was pretty mind boggling because I would have never thought that I would be able to reach the amount of people with just that one photo. And
Right.
and because of that, shout out my boy Austin. My boy Austin, he's a fashion designer.
Okay.
And since that was my first viral piece in a sense, I wish I had it today. That was the one thing I forgot. I wanted to show it, but he made me a vest. And on the inside was the picture that I
Oh,
made.
no way.
And I'm going to make a video on that soon because that's something
Yeah.
that really shows not only what an experience it was to obviously make it and put it all together, but the story behind that is it's like a real friend story. So
Right.
it's
No, that's incredible.
That's dope. All right. Before we get further into the conversation, we're going to do something new called just quick takes. We're going to talk about some things going on, get your opinion on certain things. So quick takes are going to be just questions, quick answers. First one, everyone on the screen, what has been your go-to wear lately? Andy, I'll start with you. We'll go JD, then me.
All right. Well, me, I'm busy. I go to school, teach all day, come home, family, kids. And my go-to, I don't have them on my feet right now, but the Salehi Bembury Pollux Crocs, like those have just been the easy on, easy off, comfy to wear, goes with pretty much everything. And yeah, this just a great easy wear.
Dope,
that's a
dope.
dope choice.
JD, what about you, bro? What are you rocking the most on the daily?
I'm sure people always see this because I'm always posting in my story, but I had to go
Yep.
with my Hidden Solomon's
Yes.
custom coffee dye. And
Beautiful.
people still get mad at me for this. I'll be wearing it around New York City, and people think it's either like a fake or did he like really run those to the ground? Like, Nah, I mean, I pretty much did, but
Yeah.
Coffee Dye, Hidden
Awesome.
MY, Solomon's. Thank you, Brian.
Dope, dope. Yeah, shout out Brian, whoever that is. No, I'm just kidding. Brian's my brother. So me, Andy, same as you, bro. Same as you. I literally, and it's funny because my wife gets so mad. She's like, "You have so many shoes," and then every time like we go out date night, shopping, whatever it is, I'm throwing on the Salehis. Like they're just dope to me. I've doubled up on all the colors so that way I'm not afraid to wear them. You know, I'm like I'll beat it up and then I have a fresh pair waiting for me once it's done. But man, the Salehi Benberry Crocs are my go-to as well. All right. Next up, what sneaker brand are you most excited for this upcoming year? Last year was kind of cool. We saw a lot of sneaker brands kind of enter the conversation, right? It wasn't, Nike still dominated in quality and in quantity, but quality, man, we had some brands really come into sneakers and do their thing. So I'll start with me.
And then I'll go. Sorry, I'm grabbing the pair right now.
Oh, no, you're good. Then we'll go AD, and then we'll go JD last on this one. It would be, I guess it would be kind of biased for me to go Solomon, but I think they're going to do really cool things. But I am going to go with Saucony. I'm excited. I don't know if you guys have seen the T's J Tips pair that's getting ready to drop. I love the fact that Saucony gives a lot of creators like the first chance, right? Like I think they give a lot of people the opportunity to break into the industry, to design their first pair of shoes. Even people that are celebrities like Trinidad James, got a Saucony collab last year, but so many people break into the industry through Saucony that I have to appreciate that because it's not every day. Like you're not just going to walk in and get a Nike deal, or an Adidas collab, but Saucony is so willing to give people chances that J Tips Saucony is dope. I wish I had a picture so I can pull it up for everyone to see. But yeah, man, Saucony is probably the brand I'm excited for this upcoming year. I'm excited to see what other new creators they give opportunities to.
That's a fact.
Yeah, Saucony. I have one pair and I love them already. So I'm excited to see that. So for me, I don't know. I really wasn't turned on to this brand until I don't know when it was, earlier this year. And it's Asics. Their collaboration that they did with Jound. I can't remember the model, but that one really caught my attention. Similar to when I'm just new to New Balance, similar to when I saw the Protection Pack 2002Rs. That's what got my attention to New Balance. This Jound collaboration got my attention to them, and I'm just like, okay, I see what Asics is doing. And I remember, I think it was last year, I had a basic pair of like Gel Light 3s, and I just, easy, comfy shoe to wear. But then like this year, I picked up the Gel Light 5s that Social Status did. With I think it was the Charlotte Lab School or something, a school that's helping kids learn creative skills. And they were able to work with Asics and develop their own shoe. And I thought that was such an incredible story behind that, and on an amazing pair that they are. And I was like, okay, Asics, like those are going to be a pair or a company that I'm going to be looking for this year.
Dope. Yo, I'm going to say something about Asics. I love Asics. How do you guys feel about that split tongue though? Like,
Comfort.
I don't know how I feel necessarily where like those are like the Gel Light 3s or whatever with the split tongue. I'm like, man, they do so cool. And then that split tongue just gets me. I'm like, why ruin the shoe like that?
Sounds like a personal problem there.
Yeah.
Oh man. But I'll go. I really support this brand, and I feel like they're gonna make some pretty big impact in the next year. But these are Morel TRL with the Gore-Tex sock in here. And the cool thing about this is that, yes, you could wear them while it's raining out, but you could also interchange them. So what I got here, I believe these are the Furonit from Vibram. So in case I want to go to the beach one day or just have kind of like the Crocs, just slip them on,
Easy go to.
either have them like this or I could insert it like that, and pretty versatile. But I feel like what they're doing on Morel is outstanding, honestly.
Yes.
Man, if I showed you guys my like clog style shoe, I'm probably catching up to sneakers and clog style. I love the Morels. Sheesh.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, these are. Well, I remember when these came out too. They released in Japan first, and then they released in the U.S. In December, and I had to get my hands on them before everyone else got them. I kind of knew what was up. Everyone was just gonna go after it, and it was gonna be sold out. So, luckily, I got some from Japan. So I'm glad I just
Yeah.
have one pair.
Yeah.
Man, I love though. That's a good one. All right, let's move on to the next one. What upcoming releases are you looking forward to the most? I feel like we get a ton. Like I feel like we know half the calendar year already of like what's dropping all the way through summer. But are there any upcoming releases that you guys have on your radar? Let's start with you, JD.
So you may have know him. You may know him, but his name goes by Vandy the Pink, and
yeah.
he recently had a Clark's collab. I believe I have it somewhere here. That was the wrong shoe. There are too many shoes over here. Basically,
I know that problem.
Yeah. Vandy had a Clark's collab, and it was definitely something that I feel like there needs to be more colorways of these. So what I'm looking forward to is hopefully there are more colorways coming down this new year, because I know whoever missed out on that first drop is pretty tight, not gonna lie. But I'm glad I have my pair. I'm glad I was able to cop. But anything Vandy kind of puts out, I'm really excited to see what he's gonna be, pretty much doing in the new year. Like specifically, it's not the pair I thought I had, or I thought I was gonna share. But these are Vandy's
Oh, those
new
are nice.
skate-esque shoes.
Yeah.
And I told them I needed a couple of these because these I definitely want to skate in them.
Yes.
That's dope. We got a couple comments that I'm gonna bring up. Just let's see. JD in the hidden X needles. It's tough. Boy, Nick.
Nick, I had to do it.
Said Vandy is truly one of the greatest human beings in the industry. So that's dope.
That's a fact.
And your boy Austin, those are heat. Those are fire. I actually am not super familiar with. I've seen Vandy's Clark's collab through several like outlets, but personally before that I haven't been super familiar with his work, so I definitely need to check that out.
Definitely,
yeah, same here.
Definitely.
It's dope. Andy, what do you think, bro? What's the release that you're looking forward to this year?
It's hard because I mean January in releases are JD actually skates too, yes. But yeah, it's hard because like early on in the calendar year, it's kind of hush about some of like the most of the pairs that are coming out. You hear a lot about like the super hyped sneakers and things that are going to be coming out, but all the little, like for me, I'm looking forward to seeing what Nike continues to do with their recycling line and like the Crater foam and all of that stuff, because they had some incredible Air Maxes last year. They had like their Space Hippie line that they started with all of that, and that was really intriguing to me because they're putting this environmentally friendly, ethical twist on some classic sneakers, and they're making some really cool designs with it, with those. So that's something I'm looking forward to this year.
Word. I think mine's changed. I was really looking forward to seeing more Jordan 2s this year. I love that they've kind of been a thing. But I'm not sure if you guys have seen Joe Freshgoods tease his upcoming Vans collab.
I did see that, yeah.
And I love he mentioned like getting more in detail with a lot of the messaging behind his shoes and like the meaning behind a lot of things. So that's a new release I'm super excited to see. Obviously he does great work all the time, regardless.
For sure.
The dude is a genius, but I love that's something about sneakers that I love is that storytelling aspect. Like what's beyond the shoe, right? Like beyond the shoe being blue, gray, and red or whatever. Like what is the message behind it? And so I'm looking forward to that Joy Freshkid Vans.
Good choice. Yeah. Love his work.
All right, we got two more, and then we're gonna dive into learning more and talking with JD about his work. But I guess this is a question for everyone in the comments to jump in. What is currently the most underrated shoe out there? I think I'll start this one off. I think, well, I don't know if it's underrated, but I'm gonna say anyway, the New Balance 2002 Rs. Like I feel like those are one, the price point is amazing, right? Because when you're talking New Balance, you're talking 240, 250, 260. But not only the 2002 Rs gotten so many collabs, obviously like the protection packs, and alongside that, the 1906 Rs from New Balance. I think those two, man, are just ridiculous. Those two models deserve to be talked about in the top shoes all the time. Like I don't think that they get enough love, right? I see them sitting, and I think they're more of like a niche. Like if you wear New Balance, then you like them. But I think for the price point, for the quality, both those shoes, I guess you can interchange them. The 2002R and the 1906R are fire, especially that new protection pack, the 1906R protection pack.
Beautiful.
Crazy.
And the comfort. Can't forget about that comfort. New Balance is top tier for that.
And you never have quality control issues with New Balance, right? Like every Nike release, you have people online complaining about glue stains and like stitching. You don't ever have that with New Balance. So I gotta show them some love. Those two models especially, and their price points you gotta love.
Definitely.
All right, JD, what do you think?
So I got two. I got one very new shoe, and then I have one very old shoe. I'll leave it up to you guys on what you guys want to see, because one has a lot of story, but one I don't see many people rocking with. And personally, it has become one of my favorites. So new or old?
That's a coin flip. Man, I love stories. So let's start with the stories.
Let's do it. So this shoe, I very rarely come across people who bring up this shoe. And I feel like this is the shoe that encapsulates exactly what a story is in a sneaker. Or in essence, you could really read the story on the sneaker. So I'll pull these out right here. There's a few items to this, so I'll bring out one.
Oof.
Yes.
These are the Nike Dunk Soul Collector Las Vegas.
Shout out Vegas.
400
love
made.
The colors on those. Wow.
These colors are one of my favorite. And the quick story about this is when I was first getting into sneakers, I feel like we could all kind of say the same thing when we first get into sneakers. We go buying whatever we like, and we start spending on things that maybe we like the color on this one, or maybe we like the comfort in this one, or maybe it's a different collaboration. But this sneaker, once I was able to pretty much understand the history, or at least the story behind this, once I was able to understand it, I knew that all the sneakers I had in my collection did not matter.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up selling my whole collection just so I was able to get this one shoe. And shout out Matt. Matt, my boy Matt is the one who supplied me with this shoe, and along with,
Wow.
let's see it focus, a
Oh,
limited edition keychain.
yep.
And you could see that on the keychain it reads Nike Town Soul Collector Sneaker National Championships, July 22nd, 2006, Las Vegas.
Wow.
And it also came with a few things. And this is what I love about, I feel like the sneakers back then were released, came with a lot of
Mhm.
different stuff, whether it was the sneaker cards, calendars, t-shirts, keychains, from things like this matters. The documentation.
Yeah, just those little details. Wow.
Sheesh.
That's so cool. Yeah, all the little details. That's what makes that. Man. Yes.
Sheesh.
It was a struggle finding all this stuff, by the way.
Yeah, I can
Like,
imagine.
just being able to get everything from, even I'm not sure if I'm the only one that's like this, but I like keeping receipts.
Yes. Man,
But yeah,
that's crazy.
this is the one pair that made me go, I can't look at any other sneaker the same way. The story that this represents, and I'll dive into it a little bit quickly because I know we're on rapid time, but
Oh no, you're good.
the sneaker basically represents the sneakerhead, of course, surrounded by all his sneakers that really don't make him the happiest in a sense, or it's just not fulfilling. So what does he do? Let's turn on this side. He goes throughout the journey of speaking with other collectors, trying to see where he can get this sneaker, finds out where it is. Still, now he's going looking through different stores, looking through different boxes. And then we get on this side, meets another collector, finds out where it is. He's happy. Finally, he gets to see it's just two resellers now looking to pretty much flip him off, hence really flip him off with a horrible price for these shoes. And of course he's astonished, like, you can't do this, like this is insane. But in the end, with due time and a little bit of hope, of course, he ends up with the sneakers, with all the sneakers around him that, like I said, don't do its justice. This one has the story of every sneaker collector's experience in finding his grail pair. And this is my grail pair. It's such an amazing sneaker to me, from the colorway to the story. And it was so great that I had a couple.
Yeah.
I had a couple few.
Yeah.
But and when Soul Collector was obviously, doing these sneaker competitions, obviously I wasn't around that time, but I was able to speak to a few individuals that have helped me get in contact with the founder of Soul Collector, Steve Mulholland. And we had a very nice conversation. And that whole story is on my Instagram, so you could read that. But he left me with this quote, and I'll read it to you because this is definitely it was definitely a key moment in my time of photographing sneakers. And before I go, actually, I'll read you the quote. He states, "These are the type of kicks with true stories behind them and inspire others. And when you inspire, you end up with a pair of kicks that is timeless as a story." And that's how I want my work to make other people feel.
Sure.
I want people to feel that they can find these photos in the archives of some magazine or in some museum where, you know, it's as timeless as a story. And shout out to my boy Imran. Imran, I remember it was December 16th, 2016. That day, he spoke history about sneakers to me. And at that time, you know, I was still skating a lot. I didn't really know about sneakers heavily. But what made me sell the whole collection, invest into these sneakers, made me go, you know, these matter, or at least these stories matter. And he
Right.
educated that throughout the whole way. So for me to look at a pair now and figure out if I really want it or not, I have to remember that this shoe is, if it doesn't beat the shoe or come close, I can't have it. Or at least I just don't want it. It would just be another reminder that it's just be another reminder that why do I have this shoe in the first place if it doesn't have a true story behind it. But
Right.
yeah,
No, and
that's my grail piece, or at least my most underrated sneaker. And I wish people knew more about it, or at least more people wore the shoes, because out of
right.
400 made, I know that Steve has 5. I know a couple people who have 3, 2. I have 3. It's cool to see where these pairs end up. Some in the
Right.
trash, or who knows. But that's one of my most underrated sneakers for sure.
No, that's amazing. I've never heard of those. And that story, like, that's incredible. Like, I know there's good storytelling with some collaborations, but that's the peak right there.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Bro.
I'm glad that I could show you guys this, because
Yeah, thank you.
anytime I meet other sneaker enthusiasts, I always bring up that pair, because I know that that's the pair that truly made everything work, or at least made everything happen regarding the sneakers or the photography in this case, or the
Yeah.
vision,
Right.
that
Yeah.
storytelling vision.
100%.
Bro, I want to take a second. Like, that gave me chills, bro, because that's one thing I love about shoes. Like, that's what you remember, right? Like, I think I remember, like, recently on my local Facebook group, someone posted the lows, the cowboy lows,
Yeah,
and someone asked, like, what are those? And I think a lot of people know So Collector now for, like, Full Size Run and, like, that,
Right.
but I don't think a lot of people understand, like, back in, like, the mid 2000s, So Collector was putting out some of the most iconic, like, sneaker collaborations, and it wasn't just dunks, right? Like, they touched other Nike basketball models.
Yes.
And so if you're watching and you're not familiar with some of the collaborations that So Collector is responsible for, like, go look it up. Just look up So Collector sneaker collaborations. But like you said, like, that quote, man, is like, I'm gonna steal that because it's so true. And one of our mutual friends, like Ari, that's the reason why he is, like, his shoe, the Ari Menthols, is so legendary, right? It's not that he
Right.
made a bootleg, it's the story behind it, right? Like, he
Right.
was very intentional with every detail of the shoe. And, like, everything from the color of the shoe to the, the very obvious attack at, Newport and Nike for the harm that they did. And so that's why that's a shoe that'll live on forever, right? The Ari Menthols are going to be are legendary. They're so limited. Obviously, the season assist adds to the story, and
Right.
Ari not being allowed to own a pair. But man, I love that. One of the more recent shoes that had that effect on me, and it's kind of slight, but the Del Mio Air Force Ones, sees the designer put a card in it and he has it in Spanish and in English. And he talked about the journey of like growing up in New York City and being Dominican. And obviously me growing up in New York City and being Dominican, it just resonated with me. And, the little dominoes on the shoe, that adds something, kind of like Andy was saying, like there's some dope stories behind collaborations, but when they take it to the next level, like when it's very intentional in their storytelling, then that just takes the shoe to another level, like another spot. So I appreciate you sharing that.
No, of course.
Well, I guess I don't even want to go into the last quick take. I feel like we should just progress the conversation from here because that was dope, man. I appreciate it. I know Andy has some of the questions we kind of sent you prior pulled up, so let's just get into some of those because I feel
Definitely.
like that's like a perfect
I'm here
segue.
for a while. I'll be here all night.
No, and kind of to echo off what you were saying there, like when that storytelling kind of goes up here and then it resonates with people, in here. And yeah, you see like cool storytelling with certain things that might not resonate with you, but there could be someone that's like, it's not like a hype shoe or anything, but just the right collaborator and the right story is told that it hits them here. And that meaning, that sentiment that comes from all of that is something special. So that's really cool. Anyway, I'm still just geeking out about that story. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
So I guess to start things off, question for me, I love photography. Been doing photography, most of my life and fascinated by that process. And anytime I come across anybody else who's big into photography, I always want to know, like, what initially captured your interest in pursuing photography?
When I first started skateboarding, right? When I first started, I never felt anything like it before. So being from Staten Island in New York, I have 5 more boroughs, in this case, I have 4 more boroughs to search, or in case of
Right.
like skate spots or parks or people to skate with. So since the skate community was so small at that time in Staten Island, I had to obviously search for new people or parks or spots. So eventually I meet a few friends. We got to take the train. This is way long ago. So we're taking the train to the ferry into the city. And then from there, we see where we're going to hit from the Lower East Side, or at least from downtown. But we'll go to the Lower East Side. We'll skate all over. And I experienced so many great moments where I felt like I'm never gonna remember this again. Like,
Right.
I can barely remember what I did 3 days ago, but I'm never gonna remember these fun moments again from that age and all the crazy stuff we've seen. So, whether it was like getting chased by security or someone lands this dope trick first try, it's like those are the moments I really live for. So eventually got a camera. It was actually my father. He gave me this camera. I got to pull it up. Actually, I think I had a photo of it saved. I remember because I wanted to bring this up. It doesn't matter the gear as long as you capture that moment. And this is what I had. It was what's the name of this? It was a Samsung Pocket camera.
Wow.
This is what I used to film all my videos.
Yes.
And it worked. It worked.
Right.
But that was my first device that I was able to document all this crazy footage and all these fun times. And it's nice that I was able to just come across skating because it teaches you a lot. It teaches you how to take risks. It teaches you how to be patient, have respect for others, and it also teaches you to kind of learn how to, or be okay with failing, because that's what, in most cases, that's what you're doing most of the time while you're skating. You're failing all the time, and you're trying. But yes, skateboarding has definitely changed my life in the way I see not only photography, but different subjects and different individuals. And yeah, I always see that people have a story to tell, and if I can capture that while I was out skating, or depending on the people I'm skating with, it was always a great time. And I'm glad that I took that moment, or at least I took that opportunity to take this $50 camera and use it to my advantage. And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah, being able to document things that you can always go back on, and just the flood of emotions and memories that come with reliving some of those experiences through a video or through a photograph. Like it's such a cool feeling. Yeah, and that's kind of what drew me to it too. In the beginning, was just being able to capture a moment in time, but like that moment, all the emotions, all the things that you felt are like rekindled as soon as you see it. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
When did it develop, right? Like, I think obviously, I think there's like a level, or there's a point in time where you realize like I have a passion for this, like, but then that became like I can create what I'm creating now, right? Like, do you have like a specific moment, or do you remember where it was like, I actually might pursue this and make it more than just like capturing memories. Like, I can do so much more.
Of course. As I stated before our conversation,
Mm.
since I was 14, I was photographing events, doing portraits. And from the time I got that camera,
Yeah.
or at least until I upgraded to a little bit more of a professional camera, so I get taken seriously, I was taking portraits and doing family events, then from that, weddings and such things. But it wasn't until 2020, yeah, until I started the sneaker
Mhm.
photography. Because mind you, when that happened, you couldn't go outside. I couldn't see my friends,
Right.
and at that time, I was venturing into a new business where I could take those skills of photography and put them in, obviously, in a better sense. But pandemic happened. So
Mhm.
what do? I'm home. I'm looking around. I'm looking at the shoes that somewhat have a story to tell, or just for me to practice with. And I start practicing. And then there's a skate shop in Staten Island. It's called Richmond Hood Co.
Mhm.
There's a skater. His name's Sebastian, and I saw that he got the chunky donkeys, and I'm like, I have an idea. I
Yeah.
have the concept was already in my head. All I have to do is just get the sneaker. Luckily, I got the sneaker, conceptualized it up, everything more, and then I went out to a field. It was actually a golf course. I went to the golf course, and no one was there because
Yeah.
Yeah.
pandemic was
COVID. Yep.
happening. So
Mhm.
so no one was there. I'm like, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try something different. So I'll show you this. Let me share my screen with you.
Yeah.
Let me get this photo up right here. No. All right. You guys see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is like the way bottom of my Instagram. So you definitely know that I came from taking these really high fashion, uh, cool lighting type of portraits, and then eventually we got into the sneaker photography. Before this was all created, though, there was this photo, and once I shot this and posed it the same way, actually, it's the same method of what Andy does with positioning the shoe and then
Mhm.
photoshopping the arm out, or at least um, the light stand out of it. So
Sure.
I did that, and then I put the cows in the back just to tell some sort of story,
Right.
and that was the start of, oh wow, this is fun. I like this.
Right.
I like that I could create something. I like how I could conceptualize something and then bring it to life. And then, of course, the reverse skunks.
Yes.
This shoe was one of like the first, shoes that I basically took in the studio, and I started doing a more studio environment type of product photography.
Right.
And I remember that uh, my boy Imran, he gave me these shoes, and at that time they were reselling for, I think, $8,000. I
Yeah,
saw
it was
some for
crazy.
10, and I was holding them in my hand, and I asked him, why would you give me why would you give me these, basically, because I was just starting out. So why would I, in a sense, like, I'm thinking, how can I start with this? And hold on, let me get my screen back up. All right, until I figure that out. But I was wondering, why can I? Why did he give me these shoes? And he said, "Well, you're a professional. You know what you're doing." And the concept was there, having the smoke up, coming out the shoe, and
Right.
from there, I realized hey, this is something that I want to do. I want to be able to photograph sneakers and tell that story in a much different way. But
Yeah.
on that thought, I'm gonna fix my camera because
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. Yeah, I saw you turn
That's
into a USB cord there. I was like, oh.
Well,
No,
that's
that's awesome. Like I love kind of how you get into it. And I love like stories. I'm a big story guy. I love hearing the story and the reason why people do what they do and how they got to where they're at. And just the way that I can relate with that too is like it was the pandemic. And I feel like the pandemic in general brought a lot of people. There we go. He's back. The pandemic brought a lot of people, into a place where they were forced to almost be bored, for a sense, right? Like I tell my students at school, it's good to be bored because when you're bored, like your brain's trying to figure out something to do. And so the pandemic, kind of did that for a lot of us, and it brought out a lot of unique creative avenues in people, and it's cool to see that and to hear that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's hold on while I get this fixed up again. Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're frozen right now.
Oh man, I'm speaking about the old stuff. The
no,
curse
you're
is
good.
coming back.
Do you ever think he's back? Yeah, it's kind of interesting, bro, how like you and him have kind of like a similar, like, hey, during the pandemic we decided
Right.
to just pick up our camera and start creating. And that's kind of what your last Instagram post was talking about.
Yeah, because like, I don't know. I feel like the world of social media can be so, judgmental of things and so hypercritical of, the things that people are posting. There's always somebody that's going to say something negative
Yeah.
about anything that's posted. So being able to create just because it's something that you enjoy doing, whether you think your work is as good as somebody else's work, it doesn't matter. Just because what do you get out of that process? Is it something that is like beneficial to you after you've had a long day or after, whatever is creating your safe place where you're going to go to feel refreshed and rejuvenated, and whatever it is, share it, because there's going to be people that resonates with, no matter what it is. Yeah, it's not going to be for everybody, but at the same time, there are definitely people that what you create will resonate with, and that's the beauty of seeing so many creators on social media. Is they found people that they can resonate with.
I think it's cool, kind of like you tell your students, like even like through the process, right? Like it's cool even just looking at the beginning of JD's feed and seeing what his photos look like then. And not that there was anything wrong with them, right? It was, but you look at the progression of the work, right? And that
Right.
doesn't happen unless you're like engaged in the process and you're actually like putting out work, kind of like you said. Like it's important that you do that. I guess I
He's
wanted to ask.
back.
He's
There we
back.
go.
My camera died.
Oh,
Oh no.
you're good. I did want to
Photographer
ask you.
problems.
Exactly.
I did want to ask you, bro, just kind of is seeing that first shoot, that like Chunky Dunky shoot, and then seeing some of your work now. Like, talk to us about that progression. Like, talk to us about, and I want you to be real about it too, because I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of it, and then maybe people see what Andy does, and it's just kind of, there's people, they don't realize that there's a process behind it. Like, you didn't just wake up at 14 and were creating images, and even some of the images that you were creating back then, but you're like, you've evolved so much. Tell us a little bit about that process, and then even just how, like, you've learned how to tell a story with the product, right? Because that's also a talent that needs to be developed. Like, I
Right.
struggle with that personally. Like, I could get a dope shoe and I could take a sharp image, but I haven't evolved in the way that I hoped as of yet, you know? So tell us a little bit about that process, and then, yeah.
The process. In my experience photographing weddings, I learned a lot about lighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And going into product photography, that's a key thing, you know,
100%.
especially being in a studio. And that's where I really wanted to excel in. I wanted to make sure that I had the studio knowledge down pat. So lighting came really in handy, or at least knowing that, right? So as I began doing the studio stuff and all that, I tend to kind of get bored of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I ended up just, you know, figuring out what else should I do, or what other photos could I, in a sense, create to still tell that story. So one day, I'm scrolling Instagram, right? And well, actually, before I get into that, because that's a story in its own. It is the reason, or at least how I started doing this cool Photoshop, or these cool product ads in a sense, right?
Right.
But besides, you know, learning about lighting and being in a studio, or in back then it was just a basement, but being in that environment and really having a product in front of you and knowing that, or at least in a sense, understanding the product and understanding how the light reflects and so many things of that, that was the biggest thing. Understanding your subject to a completely different degree, or different way than anything else. You know, when you're photographing a portrait of someone, yeah, you can talk to them. But when
Mhm.
you're photographing a product, they're not talking to you. You have to figure them out. So,
Yep.
of course, I go out, at least go throughout months of learning this. I haven't posted a photo prior, so I took, I think, a year to just get this down pat and understand, and learn,
Wow.
and kind of put together a portfolio in a sense that I was, you know, proud of.
Right.
And then I started putting out stuff. It was cool, but that year that went by, I was already over it. I was already over the fact that, like, oh, I did this and now I'm posting it. I'm bored. Let's go into something else.
Right.
And of course, with, you know, Photoshop, I was able to, you know, learn those techniques over time. So all this stuff is like, you learn. I'm learning things every day. I just learned like a new video program. There's so many things that I was learning back then, where it was just, you know, it was helping my career, or in a sense, it was really enabled me to capture the image and share it in the best way I can. But going into how I kind of went into I call it the surreal photo advertisements, or these big shoe concepts, right?
Yeah.
How I got into that was, I saw a guy named, his name's Carlos. He's sort of like a mentor to me, because he actually taught me a lot about Photoshop.
Nice.
And I messaged him on IG. I remember this day too. I messaged him. I said, "Hey, Carlos, love what you do. I would love to learn. Here's my portfolio, or here's what I do already. I'm looking to take the next step. Can you help?" And he's in Costa Rica, so the time difference was way
Right.
different, I think.
Yeah.
So he responded back later, and he's like, "Sure, let's get on a Zoom call." And
Wow.
when he
That's awesome.
said that, I was like, "Hey, like, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Like, 2 questions is all I ask." You know, I'm being like very like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like I hope I don't like scare him away or come off in a way where I don't, feel like it's genuine. I want to make sure I come off with love and respect. That was the major thing. Because if someone were to come to me and go, "Hey, teach me what you do," or "Hey, can you show me how to do this?" I'm like, I would genuinely say like, "No, I don't know you."
Right.
Or if Andy said, "Hey, can I try this? Can you give me a few tips? I want to try for myself. Why not?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would love to teach you,
Right.
but it has to come out of a very warm heart. So we got on a Zoom call. I'm thinking the Zoom call is gonna be like 2 minutes or just 5 minutes. Like, hey kid, yeah, do this, you're done. Yeah. But we were on that phone call or Zoom call for 2 hours.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
He taught me everything and mind you, I already knew Photoshop, but
Yeah.
Photoshop is a whole different world when you're trying to conquer a different process. He taught
Exactly.
me everything I needed to know in how to match color, match lighting, perspective, everything I had to know. He listed everything, and when he did that, or at least when after we got the call, I said, "I'm not going to let you down. The value you're bringing me, or at least teaching me, will not go just out into thin air.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
never let anything like that happen, whether it's him or someone else. That would just make me feel like I wasted this person's time." So if Carlos watching, or I'll send this to Carlos,
Yeah.
just to show my praise, because that's initial to do. If you're gonna teach me something, if you're the professor, Andy, like if you're teaching me something, I want to make sure that it's understood and I could do it in the best way, just like you. And maybe not in the best way, maybe even further, maybe even do it better than you, so you can go,
Right.
"Wow, I did well. I taught him well." So
Yeah.
I took another year or another like 8 months of practicing this. I already had the knowledge of lighting. So if you were to give me a photo of some outdoor scene, I would know exactly how to light that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
the process of what I do is it's not that hard. It's pretty simple. I get the shoe. I put it on the backdrop, and then match the lighting, match the perspective, and boom, that's it. Obviously,
Yep.
there's more. Obviously, there's so many Photoshop layers that you're going through,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it wasn't rocket science or it wasn't, in the sense, it wasn't like it's not rocket science to me, or, it was pretty simple. So I did that. And the one thing I always told myself, though, if I'm going to do something respectfully, I'm gonna one up you at it. It's
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
skateboarding. If you
100%.
do a trick right after me, oh, best believe I'm coming right up you and I'm doing a better trick, and I'm gonna show you like, yeah, like, because that's just the respect in, I guess, the skate culture.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that happened in my experience. Someone would, you know, we're obviously like we're ready to, hit this ledge or hit this ramp, and then someone, whatever, you snake us or you go in front of us or you skip our turn in a sense. And he does that same trick, and I would look at it like, all right, good for you. But I'm gonna make sure I one up you to let you know, hey, don't be playing
Yeah.
around. But
Exactly.
but I did that, and like I said, out of respect, I'm gonna be the best I can at this, because I would just feel like I would just feel disappointed if I can't.
Right.
So I started doing, the work, started practicing, and I knew that the storytelling aspect that was already instilled in me, it was not a new game. It was like I was continuing the game already. I was
Yeah.
just continuing the game on a different stage. That was
Mhm.
it. So I still conceptualized all the best concepts I could have, um, bringing that shoe into a place that resonates with it. So for instance, let's just pick up
Yeah, let's
pick up this, right? Let's pick up this, the Rowan Neal. And it looks like moss, right? It looks
Right.
like, there's like a moss type of texture on this. So what I'm thinking is, okay, this is a cool sneaker. Why don't I put this? I'm sure we all went to like the beach or by the shore and you see the moss on the rocks. Why don't I put this in that scene? Have the materials not only come full circle with the actual, location or the environment,
Right.
but let me just do it in the best way. Let me put it in the water, have water come up, splash it if anything. And I just knew that if I do this, if I do what he's teaching me and I execute it in the best way, it won't be a diss or it won't be a hey, you let me down, or hey, it will be more of a respect thing. Because I remember I would always reach back out to him saying, hey, what do you think about this? Or hey, like any tips? And he'll give me the best critiques too. They're pretty harsh, but
Yeah, of
that's
course.
what
That's
makes
the best
you
kind.
better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool that, you know, I was able to see someone's art and build on top of that. Because to reference a quote from Virgil, I think I saved it too because I always like referencing it.
the rest in power, Virgil, man.
Most stuff. He says, you create art so people can build on top of it. And I heard, or at least I read this, and I was like, that's so right. So now every time someone hits me up or asks me a question, why am I going to gatekeep?
Yeah,
There's enough food for everyone. And
Mhm.
if I'm going to create something, who said you're the creator? Or who said that you can only do this?
Exactly.
Just like sneaker photographers, there's so many of us. We all
Mhm.
have our own different styles. Even if it's super similar in a way, let's just say it's close to exact, there's always something different.
yeah.
Whether that's a story or how he's photographing it or really anything. But I just always like to make sure that if there's something that I want to create, I'm going to create it out of respect. I'm not here to diss anyone or at least show that I'm better or there's some stature that I can reach. And it's none of that. It's more like, hey, how can I help you get your concept out more?
Mhm.
That's pretty much where it really originates too. Because people ask me this all the time. Hey, I see you do that shoe, or hey, I see you do this, and I always correct them. Or if they get it right, fine. But I always correct them, saying, "No, that's my mentor. He did that, and he taught me everything.
Mhm.
And you should check him out because he's definitely one. He's definitely a powerful one with Photoshop for sure."
Yeah. Dude, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that because, like, so many good points that I completely agree with you on. And that Virgil quote, exactly. Like, it just, we, like, people who create things, we all have our different styles, we all have our different takes. And, like, again, why gatekeep that stuff? Like, if you're truly a creative person, like, seeing what you do and the concepts that you can create and then seeing someone else take that in an essence and then take it to another level, like that's extremely satisfying to see how things grow. And then it's just back and forth, right? Like creatives, like you said, skating, like competition brings out the best in people. And you know, but it's a respectful thing. It's not like derogatory or demeaning in any way. It's a respectful thing. It's like,
Right.
oh, I see that, that's incredible, that's amazing, I want to be able to do that. And then you're like, I want to do that and that. And it's just this thing that, creativity builds on it. And it's a beautiful thing.
I think that's kind of how Andy and I kind of developed this relationship. Is I just messaged him and was like, "Hey, bro, how do you do this?" Or like, "How are you doing this?" And because I came from like shooting portraits, right? Like that was my world. And I think, and you guys may, because you guys have backgrounds in portraits and landscape and stuff like that, you may think a little different, but for me, it's like a completely new ball game, right? Like when I'm shooting outdoor portraits and like family portraits, I have like the landscape there. I have, you know, you can go for candid shots or whatnot. But when you're photographing like a still object, you have to like, the creativity needs to come from you, right? Like you can't just say, all right, you guys look at each other and smile for 30 seconds and then snap, 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 and then get a really nice candid photo, right? And as long as you know how to adjust your settings and get the right, f-stop and whatnot, then you're fine. But when you're photographing a still object, it's really up to you to create something with it, right? Like,
Right.
as cool as the shoe looks, it's just a shoe. And at the end of the day, right? Like
I'm gonna quote that. It's just a shoe.
Yeah,
It's just a shoe.
it's a
Because
million.
sometimes you'll be there just looking at the shoe,
Yeah,
and like personally, I would have the shoe in front of me for an hour, maybe 2 hours, just thinking. I mean, you can't really do that with a person; you'll look crazy. So.
yeah.
Yeah, like what
That's
are
like
you
some
looking
Jeffrey
at?
Dahmer stuff. I just want to take a picture.
Just give me a second. No,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
no,
Oh,
you're
that's
good.
great.
But yeah, man, that's something that I struggled with, and so I started kind of like you, looking at people that were doing cool stuff and just asking like, bro, how do you prop up the shoe? Like little stuff like that, right? That you don't think about. Like, how do you prop up the shoe like that? Or how do
Yeah.
you know, but it's I appreciate that. And I appreciate that he wasn't gatekeeping, right? Because I think that's the only way
Right.
to progress. And we all have mentors. Eventually we'll be mentoring people. And I think that's dope. JD, we have to, I think, and then maybe Andy correct me, but there's a couple shots we want to see with you before we let you go and have you like walk us through the process and the inspiration just quickly, so that because I'm a huge fan of your work. I'm sure anyone who's tuned in, huge fan of your work. For me, if you have the shot available and ready, I need to see that Jackie Robinson shot, and I need you to walk me through it. And I know AD has a couple of has a shot or two that he wants to bring up to have you talk about as well.
For sure. For sure. You know what? Just because I'm afraid my screen will, or I guess the camera, if you want, go onto my IG and I'll totally break that down, or anything, any photo.
No, for sure. Let me do that right now and pull up your IG. Bro, I know.
Just pull up the right one, not the OnlyFans one.
let me hide my search history.
Gotta pay for that.
I know you say, bro, it's not rocket science, and you two are a little more advanced than I am as far as like this whole process goes. But bro, what you do is incredible. Like, it's not. I hope you don't. Maybe I guess this is a better way of saying, I hope that you don't minimize how dope what you do is. You know, I know we're our hardest critics, and I know we don't always give ourselves flowers, but take it from me and AD, like, you're a genius, bro. Like, it's not the average person.
I'll give you your flowers. Here's your flower. I got
it's
you.
not the average person that is creating what you're creating, bro.
We are our hardest critics. That's for sure. And 100%. Just coming from a skate background, I was very hard on myself. If I couldn't land the trick, or if I would land it and, obviously feel comfortable, like I can do this again, and then not land it the second time or get broke, I would be very hard on myself. It sucks, but I feel like we're here, or we're at least put on this earth to evolve in every, we're here to create and evolve. And I feel like if I'm not doing that, or in a sense, if I'm not creating dope work, I need to at least move on or do something different that fulfills my needs. Because yes, there are still works today that I haven't even shown. And I am planning on showing you some unreleased work of mine. But sometimes you get to a point where you go, this was fun. Yeah. It was fun while it was in the moment, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
but that's the whole point of pretty much life. We have to progress and progress until we find another time in life where this satisfies us. But for now, this has this satisfies me. Not doing these photos in a sense, but it's more talking to people. And
Yeah.
that's actually where I'll be kind of switching the content creation side for 2023. So you'll still be seeing a lot of different photography, of course, some video work with sneakers and photos, sneakers, photos and videos for sneakers. But I'm looking forward to having people see this version of myself, because
Right.
no one knew who I was or what I looked like or who I sounded like or whatever. All
Yeah.
they knew was you did that. And it's nice, but it is also nice to speak to people, especially like you guys, that
For sure.
understand, you know, not only the culture but sneakers and storytelling and why we do what we do. So,
For
but
Absolutely.
sure.
let's look at that photo. So initially, I this background, by the way, this is all free stuff. You can get all
Hmm.
these backgrounds on Adobe Stock or unsplash.com, a bunch of free websites, right?
Nice.
I got this photo and I saw that it was the Dodgers. You could see at the far right corner. And at the time, I wanted to change all that because the Travis Scott Air Maxes, I think, came
Hmm.
out. And I remember he played in them at a baseball game. So I was like, this is the perfect photo. This was before I think the Jackie Robinsons actually came out too. So I had this photo ready. I believe I photoshopped the hats of the crowd on the back of them. I put like the TS logo or Travis Scott logo, and then where it says the 75th anniversary Jackie Robinson Day. Sometimes I still forget I do that. I always put in
Right.
Oh, these little
uh,
details. I didn't even notice that, bro.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I, I always put in these Easter eggs, and if you ever go to my profile and just do a deep dive, you'll see some neat Easter eggs, and
Wow.
that's the fun thing about all that.
That's cool, man.
Just to see if people are actually like,
Paying attention.
zooming in on their phone, like, what is that? Is that an Easter egg or is that just part of it? But but eventually, I think Travis Scott had some controversy. He's got canceled, so I'm like, this may not work, or this may not just
Right.
I don't know, it may not work. People
Yeah.
It might be a flop, but then got the shoe, the Jackie Robinson dunk. It just worked out perfect because it's in Dodger Stadium, and I figured this is the best shot. Like, let me just put this together. But yeah, man, go fire through with the questions because it's starting to all come back to me.
Right. No, that one's like that shoe, and then like putting it here, and then now that little Easter egg that you pointed out. I'm like, oh, dude, like that just brings it full circle. So that's incredible. And so like I know you do like you get the lighting and stuff right on there. As far as like your shadows, are some of them like, do you rely heavily on like the natural shadows that you create with your lighting, or is that some stuff that you do more
Right.
so in post in Photoshop?
None of it is in post
Okay.
Wow.
unless like I'm putting something maybe in the water, because
Right.
that's a little bit harder to depict where the shadow is if a product is in or submerged in water.
Right.
So, but with this is all organic, all shot on a table, white table.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see, I'm zooming in like it was my computer. If you see, um, if you see where the lighting is, or at least on the people, especially in the crowd, I know that there's like a very big highlight on their hats, and then of
Like right
course
there.
you
Yeah.
see where the shadow is. It dips very, very hard. So
Yep.
I knew that the sun was obviously coming from, um, if you're looking at the photo, it's coming from uh, very up high, but
Mm-hmm.
far right. So
Yeah.
in the process of photographing it, I would move a light around. I don't have a light, but let's just make believe like this is the light.
And just see where the shadows were going.
I would do this the whole time.
Yeah.
See where the shadow goes, and wherever it lands that looks the realistic place, that would be it. Because that's a big thing regarding these photos. If the shadow doesn't look realistic, or in this case, let's just say the shadow was coming the other way or
Yeah.
a different way, it wouldn't manipulate the viewer to go, wow, is that there? Because that's
Mhm.
initially the goal. You want people to go, is that actually there? Can I go there and touch it? Can I go there and take a
Right.
photo like a Cos statue or like or Virgil's statue that he had
Yeah.
in Greenpoint? Like, you know, it's that's I think the best thing about, or my favorite thing about what I do. If I could share a photo with someone and they go, where is that? Like, can I go there? I think that's the most satisfying thing, because I knew that, or at least I know that it not fooled them, but
Right.
they believed it. I
Like
did the
it.
best I could to make someone go, or to make someone believe that that's there. That's
Yeah.
that's where most of this satisfying moments come from. It's making those or those individuals believe this is real, because it's not. You'll never see
Right.
that, or maybe in the future you might see Nike put out a 50-foot tall Air Jordan 1, and and I'll be there to shoot it.
Yeah, exactly. Then you'll do your work and that side by side, and like, which one was it? But no, I
Right.
think that's cool
Right.
because, like, yeah, the storytelling goes full circle. Like, it's not that you're like trying to fool people, but like they resonate with it and they see like the connection with everything there, and it just looks so fitting with everything in it, and that's awesome.
It makes someone go, or at least in a sense, it makes someone stop in their tracks, whether it's on a
Uh-huh.
billboard or on their feed. 9 times out of 10, they're stopping on that photo because they
Exactly.
want to pick at it. They want to go.
That was
They
me. That's
they
how I
want to
found you.
really
Yep.
dig into it. But yeah, it's nice. That's one of the best things about what I do.
Yeah, definitely. AD, bro, you have one shot that you want to bring up?
Yeah, the one that I liked when we were talking about it was the ALD 650s on their court.
On the court. That's
Yes.
actually a good story. That's a very good story, actually. So that photo, or at least that court, that location, I couldn't get access to it. I remember I'm with my pal Austin, and I'm like, I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna call the gym, and I'm gonna say I'm from New Balance. I'm gonna say I got these credentials. I'm gonna walk in there. I'm gonna shoot the photo. I'm gonna walk out. They're not gonna know
Yes.
what hit them. And I got like 3 back and forth calls with them. They were confused. Well, the conversation started great, and then it just kept going way down from like totally believable. Hey, come through. How much time you need? Yeah, all right. Yeah, someone's in there. And then it started going, wait, where are you from? Who are you? What are you doing? And then they were like, I'm sorry, this isn't available. Or this court is, they're doing work to it. That's what they said. So I, I was kind of upset because this was the best place. It was when that gym was opening in collaboration with ALD, and then with New Balance as well. And then I figured, hey, if I could bring that shoe into the court, and then of course Photoshop the players as well.
Yes.
So I gathered all the photos I could find on Google. I had I photoshopped all the players out. I put everyone in their right positions. I photoshopped all the banners in the back,
Uh-huh.
and of course, just to make it, in a sense, have you really drive into the photo. I had the laces come out where
Yes.
they're nice, styled well. And those are actually Foxtrot laces. Shout out Fox. Thank you
Love
for
their
your
stuff.
support always. But yeah, this was definitely a challenging one, because it was the first time I executed the reflection. That reflection
Mhm.
shot killed me. I remember
Crazy.
doing this photo, I think 3 times, like 3 separate times, going back and forth, photographing it, editing it. I'm like, wait, no, this doesn't look good. And I
Yeah.
have all those raw photos. I got it'll be a deep dive, but yeah, this photo was really challenging. And just to go back to my mentor, I said, "Hey, like, do you have any suggestions like what I could do?" And he said, "Use glass." And I'm like, "Okay, use glass." Tried it, didn't work. But I was like, "Wait a minute, hold on. What about acrylic? Black acrylic?"
Mhm.
I did that, and it worked. It worked.
Crazy.
So it was challenging because I had to, of course, put the shoe on the black acrylic, photograph it, and then just to get the, I guess you could say, just to get the the natural shadow, because
Mhm.
reflections and shadows are totally
It's
different in the
yeah.
way of photographing it, or at least manipulating it. So just for me to get the, I guess you could say, the shadow, I had to take the black acrylic. It was like that Indiana Jones movie. I had to take off the shoe, put it like this, make sure it's in the right position, and and then I was able to actually get the shadow in there. And did we lose everyone?
No,
Oh,
oh, there we go.
I only saw myself, so I was like, oh, we
Yeah, we're
lost
still
them.
here. We're here.
We lost them. But ended up, it was like the Indiana Jones movie. I had to lift it, and combining the images from there, it was a lot of layers in Photoshop. But this photo basically showed me that there's a lot of different or in a sense, there's a lot of different layers I have to uncover. There's the
Absolutely.
shadows I have to look at. There's the reflections, and then there's also not just the lighting from both sides of the windows of the gym or the gymnasium, but there's also the reflections colors. So think about it. If you put your hand to a wood floor, it's going to reflect a little bit of orange kind of
Mhm.
color. And
Yeah.
then I also have different color coming from the windows. So
Sheesh.
there's so many different things going on, different lighting, different things I have to kind of make uh, make the perspective look right with the reflection and the shadow, and then the laces coming in. There was a lot of different elements and steps to get that, but that photo is definitely a real favorite of mine, a real favorite,
For
because
sure.
it was a challenge. that
Yeah.
that photo was really a challenge, and
No,
I'm glad I got through that.
no, thank you.
Because now it's a
Thank
piece
you.
of cake. I
Yeah.
got through it, and now it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, you built that skill set. You figured out and solved that problem, and now it's like you got that in your tool belt, right? Like you can take that
Right.
with you. No, that's great. Thank you for going into detail with that, because like I don't know, like you see that photo and you appreciate it for what it is, but then hearing, the problem solving and the critical thinking that went on behind getting to it,
I
that
was
just brings
stressed.
it home. Yeah,
I
I
was
bet, man.
stressed.
How long on average would you say a photo takes you? Like if you were to give a time frame of how long it takes, obviously each photo is a little different, but in general, how much time do you spend on an individual photo?
When I first started, it took so long. It was brutal. At first, at one point, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this is horrible. Why? Like, standing in front of the screen for hours. But as the months went down, and as the progress started getting a lot better, it went from 4 hours to 3 hours to two, and my record is 1 hour. I could do something in
Wow.
1 hour.
That's
If the
awesome.
concept is there, like
Yeah,
if the
It's
concept
already
is
there.
there, and I had the shoe and I had the background, and all I gotta do is photograph and do the Photoshop, easy,
That's
easy
great.
money.
That's so good.
Bro, it takes me an hour to make a flyer, so I'm jealous. I like trying to make this flyer.
Andy, he's like, yeah, oh, I know your Photoshop skills are good. You're gonna flame my flyer. It's not that well. I'm like, as long as we get that message out.
Exactly. Made a
As long as
flyer
we
for
get
the
the
live
message out,
show.
that's all that matters.
I'm getting there, guys. Maybe in a year, I mean, maybe in 6 months, we'll reconvene this, and I'm gonna be showing photos this next time.
All
So
right.
you guys
I
are
will love
pushing me to be better. So I appreciate that for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, JD, man, we could talk forever, and we will, man. I think I'm excited. I think we started a friendship here, me, you, AD. I'm excited to stay in touch with you and pick your brain and really, really just be a friend. And like I told you before, when I asked you to do this is for me
I
the
declined right away. I
yeah,
said no.
yeah. JD was like,
No.
nope.
I
JD was
can't have
like,
my
nah.
face online. I'm anonymous. I got too many charges on me.
No, but I think prior to even meeting you, right? Like obviously my cousin, and he just spoke about how genuine of a guy you are, and I've been lucky enough to witness that and experience that through this process. But like I told you, man, like for me, this is kind of a selfish endeavor, right? Like I love just building genuine connections in this world because as cliche as it sounds, like sneakers have always played such a huge part of my life, and they've always been so important to me. And so when I'm able to uh meet genuine people in the space that have a passion and have things that they can add to this community, as gifted as both of you are, it's important for me to make connections with those people. And obviously, I think that that's the way to be, right? Like I think it's dope to have all these connections and just build friendships and relationships from this. And so I want to
That's what it's
thank
about.
you so much for taking time. I know it's late on the East Coast, taking time to just chat with me and Andy, and I'll let Andy kind of give his spiel too. But I just want to thank you personally for this time that you've given me and us, and just for this new relationship and friendship that we've been able to build.
Of course, man. And just to add to that, just send me your email so I can bill you for my time, okay?
John, you got it.
No, it's
Running up
all
on the
love.
screen.
It's all love. Like this is also my first appearance in a live show.
Wow.
So for me to be able to speak my story, and especially with two individuals that are genuine and I respect,
Thank you.
I always felt that, or at least I always knew that sneakers really does bring people together, where it's where it's on a good note, or at least where it's meant to, because everything happens for a reason. And I'm glad that that mummy photo caught Andy's attention. I never would have thought it got anyone's attention. Of course, and Andy's killing it. But and Brian, like meeting him at the hidden pop up in New York, I saw he posted a photo. I saw he was
Yeah.
with Solomon. I was like, I gotta show him my photo. Like, and I walk up to him. I'm like, Brian. He's like, yo, JD, I saw your photo. I'm like, he's like, you're the guy. And that made me really happy because I'm glad that I'm starting to show people my work and what I do in the story, because that's really what I'm be doing for the rest of the year. Talking to people, building those connections, and
100%.
connecting with people who are genuine. And that's really what it is. So I thank you.
Yeah, and thank you both. Like Aaron, thank you for reaching out to me. Proposing this idea, and JD, thank you for hopping on, because like I love conversations like this where it's just, benefiting everybody, and we're all just taking so much from this, and it's wonderful to be a part of that. Sneakers, it's wonderful to be a part of that too, and then the photography and creativity side. Like there's just so much that can come from things like this. So thank you for those genuine and special stories that you were able to share, that I'm sure everybody here who tuned in was eating those things up, because it was a pleasure to listen to. So thank you for coming on.
I appreciate that. Your words really mean the most. And again, if I could if I could have this conversation over and over, that's amazing to me. And if I can keep having these conversations with more people like you guys, I love that. I love conversations. So if I'm able to have a really dope interaction with someone over a sneaker or a story or just how I was able to accomplish something, I love that. That's amazing. So I really do appreciate your words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate everyone that tuned in, that commented, that shared the video, all the kind words in the comments. I think people really received the show well. Thank you, Austin, for tuning in, Brian for tuning in. Everyone who tuned in, commented, shared what we were doing here. Next week, tune in again. We have a special guest that we'll announce. But this is not the last time you'll see us three on the screen together. I can guarantee that. We're gonna do this and rinse and repeat because there's more conversations to have. But thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate you all. We're out.
Peace.
It's just front page shoes. They checking in cause this is front page. It's just front page shoes. They checking in cause this is front page news. To every sneakerhead, even the hypest beast. It all started with, do you got my size and need? It's just front page shoes.